like to welcome Mr. Oliver Tian, founder and director of Oliver Tian Associates, and as well as honorary advisor of APARA on our virtual stage. So Oliver is a seasoned speaker and a champion of leveraging technologies to augment human capability and potential. So Oliver, tell us, what is the importance of human factor engineering? What is this about?
Thank you, Al. Great pleasure to be here today, and really appreciate the opportunity to share with the audience a relatively new concept, though it has been around for quite a bit over the many years. Yeah. So allow me now to share my screen so that we can discuss further what we hope to present to you in this session. So we are going to talk about the importance of human factor engineering. Now, the human factor is probably one aspect of our life that should not and must not be replaced by technology. In fact, there are indeed many areas where automation has taken place, and possibly the fear that it will replace us in what we do. But there are also a lot of value factors that the human carry along with us, where we must work with technology and in fact adopt technology that can dovetail what we are doing to extend our capability and potential. So in today's presentation, I hope to be able to go through those discussions with you and help the audience understand more about how this can be achieved. So as a brief agenda, I'd like to touch on the following. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about competitive edge in any business and where technology can come in and play a part. Secondly, to discuss how we can harness the power of human and AI coming together. And then to zoom in particularly around human factor engineering, what that means, and to talk a little bit about technology bubbles. So let's first touch on what is competitive advantage. Now, 10 years ago, and maybe if you go further down the memory lane and look at 20, 30 years ago, competitive advantage is something that a company hold dearly to. And in fact, you know that when you have a competitive advantage in terms of technology, in terms of a product design, you would be having an advantage over your competition for a long period of time. And in many instances, you can leverage on this competitive advantage and be in the leading stage for up to 8, maybe 10 years. But today, with converging technology and how technologies are influencing us, we find that the competitive advantage lifespan is very much shortened. Survey has shown that competitive advantage today can be as short as 1 year and maybe even less. Take the mobile phone, for example. New versions, new technology comes out, and the different players in the mobile phone industry are on a ongoing journey to compete against each other, to come up with new technology, to advance themselves so that they can retain their customer base and expand the market share. So it's no longer a 10-year advantage you're looking at, no longer a 5 year, and in fact, the competitive advantage that you hold is probably a year or less. Now, what has changed the rules, right? There are three critical changes that have now been installed on us, resulting in this change. One is you see that reinvention is no longer a one-time affair. You don't do reinvention once and you expect that you keep that momentum for a good period. Reinvention has become an ongoing set of activities in any organization. In no longer is it an episodic activity. The mobile phone has taught us that upgrades needs to take place in order to retain the loyalty base and to capture new clients. The second is the integration of connective technologies to automate routine tasks. Now, this is important. Right? This is important because robot process automation is becoming far and wide highly adopted by many organizations, and they are being deployed at varying degrees of integration into the organization, which means that With connective technology integrated into your workflow, um, that will shift the needle in terms of competitive advantage. The third is the changes in the demographic aging around the world. And the world is definitely growing into a stage whereby um, population are coming to a point where it is not moving as fast as it would like to be. The more established countries are not reproducing as fast as we would like to be, and hence growth in consumption has become less participative. In other words, do not expect to have more buyers to your product, but we need to find a way to create the opportunity for buyers to be interested in your product. Therefore, it is hence very necessary for us to no longer consider how you can exploit past successes because it won't work anymore. You have to create new successes. And business successes no longer also depend on leadership alone. We need to figure out how to network and explore the use of technical leadership within a team and build a good team. Creativity is no longer an end in itself as well. We need to harness creativity. In fact, we need to figure out how we can explore the right use of technology and build creative use of technology in order to support the organizational growth. All this surrounds the need for us to have technology work closely with the humans. So, what does that translate into? Uh, Good reviews have shown that the future work is in technology, and it is important that technology leaders begin to reimagine how technology can work together and stream it into the workflow, upskill the workforce, and even reimagine how the workplace will look like. And there are many, many reports that suggest that there are different ways where such a development can take place. So we need to really look closely at how this can be done possible. The importance of human factor engineering is been discussed in many, many ways. And the question is, how do you define human factors? So, in simply put, the human factor deals with the human interaction with the environment, and in particular, it covers interaction with technology and how human abilities and limits can be taken into account with the design of this technology. So, as an introduction earlier, the host mentioned that one of the aspects is I champion the ability to leverage technology to augment human capability and potential. And this is what exactly I mean. Technology must be made available to augment the human capability. And to do so, we must understand what are the human factors necessary for us to consider and to build into the design of the solutions where technology can be leveraged. The benefit of human factors in improving technology has come to a level whereby human-machine interaction must be efficient and ultimately must be a pleasant experience. The saying goes, the best technology ever, if not usable by the human beings, is probably the worst technology. Technology in itself can be great in terms of lab results, but at the end of the day, and when it is deployed and worked into the workplace, the benefits of having the appropriate factors incorporated into the design is so important, such that at the end of the day, it can provide the optimal performance when users interact with technology. And there are a huge set of discussions we can go through around this whole concept of a human-centric solution, and particularly when we talk about AI deployments and robotic deployments, there is a great need for human-centric considerations. So what are these? How can humans eventually work with AI and evolve together in the next decade or so? First of all, it is important to note that AI will be integrated into most aspects of our life, producing new efficiency and enhancing our capacity. Now that is going to be given with all the technologies and research that's taking place This is definitely the direction we're moving into. Secondly, we do expect that AI eventually will optimize and augment our lives. Looking at the future of work as an example that's heavily discussed today, the future of healthcare, which affects all of us, and more importantly, we will expect AI to affect the future of education, the skills that is needed, the way we learn, and the way we hope to adopt the technology as necessary. There's a whole lot of process involved in doing so, right? I guess in any technology, this simple diagram will show the continuous loop where man and machine must work together. Man and system must work together. We receive information, we analyze, we interpret, and use the information to make decisions. We perform certain actions, and these actions are translated and communicated with the system or the machine in the back end. It does further processing, performs certain action, and then sends messages back to us. So this continued loop where it feeds back from the human to the machine and back becomes very critical. So you can imagine, if we do not factor in the human consideration into the design of any solution, the whole process may not be optimized. And then the question comes, how do we harness the power of human and AI technology coming together? Here are some advice I would share. Firstly, do not compete with technology. Right? It's almost futile to try and compete and see who can perform the more efficient mental calculation of a mathematical uh, formula compared to what the machine can do. What we need to do is differentiate to show how humans can perform better and use that value, use that characteristics to design the solution. Secondly, the usual 4C is not going to be enough, right? The human curiosity, creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration is not enough. We need to show that it works. We need to build systems that show how this has been able to enable a particular solution. Don't just look for answers, right? In the past education model, we spend a lot of time educating our folks to look for straightforward answers, model answers. I think what's more important is we need to build a team, the new set of skills to ask more questions. And in fact, questions will help them to better understand how we can do and develop further. So this is where humans can do more than what the machines can do. Humans are good at reframing the problem, questioning the edge issues, and more importantly, help to explore the unexplored. Do not just use technology. It is important we must understand, explore, and eventually learn how to leverage technology. If we can follow these four rules, right, we will be able to harness the power of human plus AI coming together and to build a solution in the world of human and machine collaboration. Um, there are, of course, many aspects of how we can design the solution. Um, in fact, there's no way today we can have a full specification of the user requirement. There will be hidden needs that we can uncover over time. Hence, AI is no longer a solution that you build like traditional software, right? And you expect to go through a user testing exercise and it runs for the next 10 years. It is going to be an exercise where we will continue to explore hidden needs and identify unexpected interactions and build this into an iteration process that we enhance upon the solution. So if I look at human factors, we're good with ability to trust information, perceiving idea, managing different workloads. Right? And on the other side, AI is capable of looking at accuracy, speed, complexity of issues, and managing data. So if we look at these two sets of factors, the question is how do we then uh, integrate them together, augment them together to build a powerful human plus AI solution. Here's just an example, right, of how the continuous loop that takes place between the user and the machine. And here we talk about two different set of users. The example I'm quoting here is in the medical field, right? So in the first diagram on the left, you see the doctor looking at the results of data that's been captured on an ongoing basis to monitor the health of a patient. And in the interactive loop, we enable the doctor to make better diagnostics of the patient's health condition. In the second diagram in the middle, here we have an AI system which performs almost a similar task, but is able to filter out some of the more rudimentary cases, right, without the human intervention. And of course, when we get into the third scenario, the patient probably will need the help of a caregiver who can give the emotional feel and support in addition to the AI that's able to support. So you notice in the design of this solution, there are different conditions and there's probably different needs and different use and leverage on technology to support the solution we're looking for. So the intelligent solution will harness different aspects of the technology in order to help build the usefulness and optimization of the solution. Now, to do so, we must have a smarter approach to the whole end user engineering process. Right? We need to decide the best way to leverage technology, to leverage tools to help us achieve the objective. Here is a simple diagram, right? The objective is to move, a heavy object from one point to another, right? Of course, the brute force way is just to carry it. The other option, of course, is to use a tool that can work on physics to move the object from one to the other. So the human factor engineering is so important that we can create simple solutions, yet it serves a purpose and provides the optimal resolution to what you're looking for. I'd like to share this chart, and I think this is a very useful chart by Ruth, Gates, and Page, integrate together. And what we're seeing is that the human capability to manage complexity will plateau over time because of our limitations. Now, the machine can do a lot more because this machine can deal with some invisible complexity that we don't see in the surface, on the surface. And as a result, if we are able to manage these two and combine these two together, we will be able to extend our ability to look at how AI and robotics can be leveraged. Let me also introduce another law before we end this presentation. This is Roy Amara's law, right? A very interesting concept where he suggests that technology, if you look at the blue curve, right, technology, right, initially will be overestimated in terms of what it can perform. There will be a lot of hype, right? And if I look at what this is suggesting here, right, on the lower curve, um, technology may still be in its initial stage and the expectation is usually very high. The green dotted line shows you where the humans are expecting the technology to perform, and there is a critical point, an inflection point, before it transits into a state where the technology itself can enhance and build greater support. And in fact, by that time, we will underestimate what the technology can do for us. So this is critical. This is critical. So to be able to understand this, right, we need to figure out at certain points we have to invest our time to understand the technology, right, to explore what is possible, and when it inflects up in the S curve, where the technology uh, functionality supersedes or exceeds what human expectation, we need to use that technology to augment our capability. So take a look at Amara's law and see how we can fully leverage and understand this law to support our design of solutions. Let me end off with this cartoon diagram. I like it a lot, right? So on the left, you have five engineers who are trying to debate what is the way we want to solve the problem, right? Looking at legal issues, looking at safety issues, and they debate a lot around the project plan and what we should do. But at the same time, what we need to understand is the workers out there are still carrying the trace. They are still going through the hard labor. So AI cannot wait for that perfect storm. AI must go hand in hand and work together with a solution and over time iterate to build a better solution. And in the process of that, we must consider the human factors in order for us to build the wonderful solution that is targeted at the betterment of society. So with that, last slide, I end my presentation here, and I'll be happy to interact any one of you either on the chat or in the speed networking lounge for further discussion. But I hope you can take away the message that it is important to consider human factors in the design of AI and robotic solutions. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Oliver. You have just heard about the importance of